Julian leaned back in his chair, the sterile white walls of the London hotel room a stark contrast to the warmth on his laptop screen. He tapped his fingertips on the polished desk, the gesture as measured and serious as one of his corporate negotiations. The words that left his lips, however, were anything but professional. He requested that Leo, once they were face to face again, repeat the very words he had just confessed. Leo's nod was immediate, a blur of earnest energy. Julian's voice lowered, a murmur that carried across the thousands of miles between them. He informed Leo that after he had finished speaking, he would kiss him. He then posed it as a question, asking if that would be acceptable. Leo's response was a jumble of assent, but it took several seconds for the full implication to register. A nervous flutter started in his gaze. He swallowed, attempting a tone of worldly experience as he asked if Julian meant a kiss like the last time. He wondered aloud if, after the kiss, Julian would no longer be upset with him. A kiss on the cheek, the brow, the forehead, that was familiar territory. Capitalizing on the video call's inability to track his exact point of focus, Julian's eyes shamelessly devoured the sight of Leo's lips on the screen, flushed and vibrant. He clarified that it would not be like the last time. Then, addressing the second question, he confirmed that he would no longer be upset. He could see a flicker of hopeful misinterpretation in Leo's expression, a look that suggested a proper gentleman like Julian probably means a kiss on the top of my head. A slight smile touched Julian's lips. He decided to be explicit, his voice a low thrum. He wanted to kiss Leo's mouth, he stated, and asked again for permission. Leo nearly threw his phone across the room in a fit of embarrassment. Could he say no? Felt like he couldn't. They had confessed their feelings. By all definitions, they were in a relationship. In fact, they had a certificate that went even further than that. They were married, the feelings were mutual. If a simple kiss on the lips was considered out of bounds, their future was going to be impossible. Julian's tone was laced with disappointment, though it was carefully restrained. He said he understood if it was not okay, giving the impression that he would wait indefinitely if Leo refused. Leo, cross-legged on his bed, propped his forehead on his hand in exasperation. No, it was okay, he corrected himself. In the short span of their conversation, even the back of his hand had turned pink. Julian adopted the meticulous precision of a contract signing. He first laid out the existing conditions, emphasizing that they were, in every legal sense, in a marital partnership. Then, with perfect enunciation, he sought clarification on just how many kisses he would be permitted. Leo repeated the question in a bewildered whisper, his breath catching in his throat. He wondered if this was how gentlemen conducted their romances, with every kiss tallied and accounted for. It felt more embarrassing than if Julian had just done it without asking. He mumbled that any number was fine, unable to bring himself to name a specific figure. He didn't want to get pulled into another round of negotiations. Julian masked a laugh with a slight cough, questioning the phrase "any number." Teasing the younger man was endlessly amusing. He reflected for a half-second on his own behavior before his sense of mischief won out. He summarized the terms with a wry smile, stating that it meant no upper limit, essentially an open-ended clause. Leo was no longer capable of processing the words, simply nodding in a daze. Seeing that he had pushed the boy to the brink of tears, Julian mercifully ended the video call. The words "call ended" appeared on the screen. Leo tossed the phone aside as if it were a hot coal and collapsed onto his back, staring at the ceiling, his breathing ragged. It was just a confession, yet it felt as if he'd been flayed alive. In the end, it wasn't Julian's fault. He was just too thin-skinned, too introverted. What was as normal as breathing for other couples felt like a monumental event for him. He resolved to be more outgoing. Kiss was just a kiss. That resolve lasted for 48 hours. Be bold, be open. Then, a sudden message from Julian shattered his newfound confidence. It was 9:30 at night. Leo had just finished the fruit salad the housekeeper, Mrs. Gable, had left for him and was about to start on a set of AP calculus problems. His plan was to finish his homework, then video call his mother in San Francisco, and after that, Julian. He hadn't checked his phone all day, buried in schoolwork, and so he hadn't realized Julian had been out of contact for over 12 hours. Just as he spread the papers on his desk, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His heart nearly stopped. Julian, home in 10. Julian, wait for me. Leo stared at the phone for a full 3 seconds. 10 minutes? Julian was supposed to be in Los Angeles. Had he fallen into a wormhole? Julian explained in a follow-up text that he had worked through the night to finish everything, boarding his private jet that morning. He hadn't told Leo sooner, he claimed, because he didn't want him to be distracted from his classes all day. Whether this was genuine consideration or a calculated surprise attack, only Julian knew. Leo's hands trembled as he typed a clumsy okay. He put the phone down and stood frozen for a moment before bolting into the adjoining bathroom to brush his teeth. He scrubbed them relentlessly until his tongue was numb from the strong mint toothpaste. When he finished, he stared at his reflection, a droplet of water clinging to his chin, his face flushing red in the mirror. A sound from downstairs confirmed it. Julian was home. Leo didn't dare go down to meet him. They were about to kiss on the lips. In how many minutes? Where should he wait? What expression should he wear? The anxiety and anticipation were boundless, each second an eternity. He almost wished Julian would just get it over with. Why did he have to tell him in advance? He wondered if Julian was, perhaps, a little bit wicked. Consumed by a helpless mix of shame and anger, Leo slammed his fist against the marble countertop. The loud bang was followed by the sound of muffled footsteps ascending the stairs. Through the bedroom and bathroom doors, he could hear them approaching. His heart pounded. He stood still, waiting for the inevitable. 2 polite knocks sounded on his bedroom door, each one like a tap against his own ribs. Knowing Leo was unlikely to answer, Julian opened the door himself a moment later. A tall, indistinct shadow appeared behind the frosted glass of the bathroom door. Julian's voice was low and magnetic, the patient tone of a hunter coaxing its prey. He told Leo to open the door. The pet name he used, Sweetheart, sent a fresh wave of heat to Leo's face. He was so mortified he nearly yanked the handle off the door. Julian continued, his voice soft, saying he had missed him. He seemed to sense his sudden return was unsettling, so he didn't press, instead reasoning with him. He explained that he'd worked all night and then spent 12 hours on a plane. His head was aching. All he wanted was a glimpse of Leo before he rested. He was luring him out, and Leo's heart softened instantly. In a daze, he pulled the door open just a crack, a space barely wide enough for one dark, curious eye to peek out at Julian. But a crack, no matter how small, was permission. Julian seized the edge of the door. Banking on the fact that Leo wouldn't slam it shut and hurt him, he pulled it open, like prying apart a clam that had relaxed its guard. A warm hand cupped the back of Leo's neck, and a gentle but firm force guided him out of the bathroom and into the corner of the bedroom. After cornering his prize, Julian retracted his hand with the grace of a gentleman and slid it into his pocket. He looked down at Leo, his dark eyes filled with amusement. He asked him why he was hiding, reminding him of their conversation on the video call. He then demanded that Leo say it all again. Leo, feeling guilty and trapped, mumbled that Julian had just said he only wanted a look. Within the close confines of the corner, he could see the crisp white of Julian's shirt, the dark navy of his silk tie accentuating the powerful lines of his chest. At his cuffs, 2 expensive canary diamond cufflinks gleamed. The fresh, clean scent of vetiver aftershave clung to him. His Julian had dressed for this meeting, perhaps on the plain, like a magnificent animal in mating season displaying its finest plumage. The effect was not lost on Leo. His gaze darted away, then unwillingly flickered back, drawn to the contours of Julian's chest, the luxurious accessories, the handsome, sharp-featured face. He couldn't deny it. He was a visually driven creature, and Julian was a sight that made his head spin. Julian's smile was knowing. He asked who was the one breaking their promise now. Leo had no choice but to stammer through his confession from 2 nights before. His nervousness made the wording inexact, but the sentiment was the same. Yet Julian seemed to have memorized the original speech verbatim. Whenever Leo's retelling deviated even slightly, Julian would correct him, forcing him to repeat it properly. It was utterly cruel. By the time he finished, Leo's face was scarlet and beaded with sweat. The room fell silent. He glanced at Julian, his expression a mixture of innocence and yearning. Julian's gaze traced the outline of Leo's lips. The faint, cool scent of spearmint lingered between them. He asked with a soft chuckle if Leo had brushed his teeth. Leo admitted he had, offering the flimsy excuse that he was afraid he'd be too tired after their call. His own eyes were fixed on Julian's mouth, full of curiosity about what it would feel like. He was, if he was being honest with himself, a little eager to find out. Their breaths mingled as they studied each other. The delicate, charged atmosphere was suddenly broken when Julian gently cupped Leo's chin, tilted his head, and pressed their lips together. It was tender yet ravenous, like a bee stealing nectar from a budding flower. The touch was tentative at first, then a slight brush. Leo trembled, his spine turning to jelly. It was too much, a sensation so pleasurable it was frightening. Gasping for air, he turned his face away, unable to confront his own body's reaction. This was what it felt like to melt at a single touch. Julian used his body to support Leo, preventing him from sliding to the floor. He used his fingertips to guide Leo's face back toward his dark eyes scrutinizing every flicker of emotion. Julian, he was just a mess of embarrassment, confusion, and delight. Leo begged for a moment, his voice weak. He told Julian his legs wouldn't hold him. Something was awakening in him, shy and new. "Sweetheart," Julian murmured, his blood on fire. He couldn't wait for Leo to adjust. He leaned in again, cupping Leo's face and kissing him more deeply, whispering against his mouth that his lips were so soft. The words were a spell. Leo's heart soared and then crashed against his ribs. He felt like he couldn't breathe, his mouth being tenderly, insistently possessed. He tried to pull away, but Julian held him fast, the usually gentle and refined man now displaying a passionate, almost indecent hunger. He mumbled for Julian to stop, that it was enough. He was holding his breath without realizing it, his heart pounding wildly. He was beginning to regret his bold confession. Finally, Julian straightened up slightly and tapped the tip of Leo's nose, reminding him to breathe. Leo took in several shaky gasps of air. As soon as he had, Julian tilted his head again. Leo shrank back, his eyes wide. He asked if Julian was going to kiss him again. Julian feigned innocence, his eyes hiding the fire within. He smiled gently and pointed out that it had only been one kiss so far. Leo repeated the words in disbelief. Just one? All of that counted as one? He licked his swollen lips, looking bewildered and pitiful, like he'd been tricked by someone he trusted. He asked if they could please not have the second kiss just yet, his voice dropping to a whisper as he claimed his lip was broken. Julian didn't believe him. He gently moved Leo's hand away to inspect it. It wasn't broken, of course, just red and sensitive from the friction. He told him so plainly. Leo's head drooped in defeat. Julian, however, softened his tone, apologizing for having hurt him, and stepped back, allowing Leo to escape. Leo retreated to a small armchair, covering his mouth, stunned. What was a light touch for Julian was a tidal wave for him. Julian knelt before him and gently tugged on the sleeve of his pajama shirt, asking if he was angry. Leo shook his head quickly. He could never be angry with Julian. Julian then asked, in a calm, analytical tone, what was wrong. Leo struggled to describe the sensation. His heart, he explained, felt like it was going to beat out of his chest. He shyly glanced at Julian, his voice earnest as he confessed that it might be because he liked Julian so much, that the intensity was too much for him. He asked for a moment to recover. Julian took a deep breath, clenching his jaw. He told Leo that as a man 12 years his senior, his needs and perspectives on these matters might differ. He apologized if his own desires were more pronounced, his tone sincere and tinged with a rare embarrassment. Leo, in turn, found himself trying to comfort Julian. His face red as he explained that what Julian was feeling was perfectly normal. Julian smiled, then asked what they should do about his more significant needs. He playfully suggested they find a different method, one Leo might find more acceptable. Relieved, Leo asked what kind of method. Julian smiled gently and changed the subject, asking if Leo had slept in his room the other night. Leo confirmed that he had. Julian then asked if he would do so again tonight, adding quickly that he wouldn't do anything improper. They could have separate blankets. He rubbed his forehead, feigning exhaustion and implying he was in no state to be a threat. He had worked all night, he reminded Leo, and just wanted to hold him. Leo hesitated but didn't refuse. The classic negotiation tactic had worked. Julian had him completely off balance. Julian then teased him, asking what he had been thinking to look so worried. Leo, blushing, said nothing. He wouldn't lie, even if it meant admitting his own stray thoughts. Julian pressed, his voice laced with feigned curiosity, asking what he had been thinking. A dangerous glint appeared in his eyes. Leo felt a primal instinct kick in. If he didn't offer up something, he wouldn't escape unscathed tonight. He couldn't possibly admit what he'd actually been thinking. There was only one concession left to make. He surrendered, his voice tight, agreeing to the separate blankets. In the master bedroom, two comforters lay side by side on the king-sized bed. While Julian showered, Leo scurried under his own covers, pulling them up to his nose. The water in the bathroom shut off. Leo squeezed his eyes shut, feigning sleep. The scent of sea salt and cedarwood approached. The mattress dipped beside him. Julian whispered his name, asking if he was asleep. Leo remained perfectly still. Julian's lips curved into a smile. He didn't call him out. He lay down and wrapped an arm around Leo, pulling the blanket-wrapped boy against him. The brief kiss hadn't been enough. It had only stirred memories, igniting a hunger that was now difficult to control. His hand moved to Leo's face, his thumb tracing the seam of his lips. The soft puffs of air against his fingertips suddenly quickened. Leo was panicking. He held his breath, his body trembling slightly. It was less like pretending to sleep and more like pretending to be dead. Julian struggled to hold back his laughter. He asked again, his thumb stroking Leo's mouth, if he was truly asleep. To wake up now would be even more mortifying. Leo remained committed to the act, his eyelashes fluttering uncontrollably. "You're really asleep?" Julian announced softly. "Then I'm going to do something bad." He hooked a finger under the edge of the comforter and lifted it. Underneath, Leo's pajama shirt was buttoned all the way to the top. Julian toyed with the highest button. Leo's composure finally broke. Without opening his eyes, he turned and buried his face in Julian's chest, begging him to stop. Julian gently tugged on Leo's red ear, stating the obvious. He had been faking. Leo was beginning to realize that the Julian he was with now was different from the man he knew before their relationship was official. He wasn't a fool. He had only been so easily teased because his perception of Julian was that of a fundamentally decent man. He clenched his fists, hesitantly asking Julian why he was acting like this. Julian's chest rumbled with laughter as he asked what, precisely, he was doing. Leo struggled for a word that was accurate but not insulting, finally settling on unprofessional. Unprofessional. Julian paused. No one had ever described him that way. In fact, most people said the opposite. The term, coming from his flustered young lover, was unexpectedly thrilling. He pulled back slightly to look at Leo's face, explaining with earnest sincerity that now that they were officially partners, he felt no need to maintain a formal facade. Just as Leo could be vulnerable with him, he could be himself with Leo. With a few well-chosen words, he had reframed his teasing as an act of profound intimacy. He then asked if Leo still liked this version of him. Of course he did. Leo gave a reluctant nod. Even this unprofessional version? Leo gritted his teeth and, after a moment, admitted that he did. Julian then played his final card. He asked for help, claiming that Leo was about to trigger his rut and that he needed soothing. Leo was stunned, asking how it could possibly be his fault. Julian, his dark eyes gleaming, insisted it was. He blamed Leo's blushing. He playfully dodged Leo's attempt to hide under the covers, their movements turning into a kind of flirtatious game. Leo finally gave up, his flushed face exposed. He tried to argue logically, pointing out that Julian's last rut was only a month ago and that they couldn't just be triggered. He knew the basics from his time as an alpha. Julian simply smiled. "I have a disorder," he said plainly. "It's irregular." Leo was speechless. It was true. Julian suffered from a severe form of the syndrome. Julian continued his campaign of sweet-talking and half-truths, reminding Leo that he had promised to use a method he could accept. No kissing the lips. He then began to pepper Leo's face with kisses, his cheekbones, his temples, his eyelids. He kept his word. But by the end, Leo was desperately clutching the collar of his pajamas, trying to protect his neck from being marked, insisting that his summer school uniform wouldn't cover it. That night, Leo felt as though his face had been kissed raw. After the ordeal, he took a shower in the master bathroom to wash off the nervous sweat. He emerged smelling of Julian's sea salt and cedarwood body wash, which seemed to trigger Julian's possessive instincts all over again. He was pulled into a tight embrace, his cheek pressed against a firm, muscular chest. His mind raced with the reality of their relationship, a dizzying mix of shyness, excitement, and disbelief. He finally drifted off to sleep in the early hours of the morning. At 6 a.m., his alarm blared. Leo couldn't open his eyes. Julian switched off the jarring noise and gently tried to wake him, stroking his earlobe and tickling his nose. Leo, half asleep, swatted his hand away like a kitten. He begged for 5 more minutes, his voice soft and pleading. It was a new kind of vulnerability, a sweetness Julian had never seen. He thought of the hard life Leo had lived, working in convenience stores to support his sick mother. A skinny boy in an oversized uniform. He never could have imagined this future, this softness. The scent of freshly brewed coffee and bacon wafted into the room. Julian had arranged for a serving cart to be brought up. A hand closed around Leo's ankle. Julian gently slid a sock onto his foot. His school uniform was laid out nearby, and a small table had been set up by the bed so he could eat without getting up. Julian smiled, asking if Leo wanted to change his pants himself. Of course he would change them himself. Leo recoiled, assuring him he could manage. He looked at the elaborate breakfast, feeling he didn't deserve such treatment. He told Julian not to spoil him, that just calling him to wake up was fine. Julian's grip on his ankle tightened slightly. His voice was low and intense. He told Leo that from now on, he would take good care of him. The words were a fire that burned straight through to Leo's core. He lowered his eyes, then rested his forehead against Julian's shoulder and mumbled an okay. A few seconds later, he added that they would take care of each other. He acknowledged that he was still young, but promised that when he grew up, he would be just as good to Julian as Julian was to him. Julian's heart melted. "I'll wait for you to grow up," he said softly, ruffling Leo's hair. As if to prove his words, Leo suddenly leaned forward and pressed a quick, light kiss to Julian's cheek. Before Julian could react, he scrambled away to the breakfast table and stuffed a piece of bacon into his mouth, mumbling through the food that he had to get to school. While Leo ate, Julian went into the walk-in closet to choose a shirt. Leo, seeing his chance, quickly stripped and pulled on his school uniform. In the closet, Julian adjusted a full-length pivoting mirror, catching a perfect, fleeting reflection of the boy. White skin, lean muscle, a flush of pink. Beautiful. The hawk-like vision of a top-tier alpha was truly a remarkable thing. He chastised himself silently for his voyeurism, a smile playing on his lips. That day at school, fueled by his promise to Julian, Leo studied with a ferocious intensity. He even worked up the courage to ask his teacher for help with a few difficult problems. He worked late into the night, only stopping when Julian came to drag him to bed. He begged for one more problem, even employing the new skill of wheedling he'd discovered that morning. Julian, utterly charmed, relented. When it was time for bed, Leo automatically started walking toward his own room before realizing his mistake. He tried to turn back, explaining that he thought last night was a special circumstance. Julian blocked his path with a smile, informing him that his clothes had already been moved. He told him not to sleep in a separate room anymore. They did a little dance in the hallway, Leo trying to get around him, Julian playfully blocking him at every turn. Leo tried to explain that sleeping with Julian was too exciting, that he couldn't fall asleep. Julian laughed at the phrasing, then wrapped an arm around him and guided him toward the master bedroom, teasingly offering to sing him a lullaby. Pushed back by the firm wall of Julian's chest, Leo stumbled backward until his knees hit the edge of the bed and he fell onto the mattress. The undignified tumble made him laugh, and Julian laughed with him, leaning down to steal a quick kiss. When Leo tried to protest, Julian's hand found the ticklish spot on his ribs. Leo yelped, curling into a ball, trying and failing to suppress his laughter. It was a rare, beautiful sound. Julian, watching him, was overcome with affection and leaned in to kiss the dimple that appeared in his cheek. The deep, tender kiss made Leo blush more than any other. He hid his smile and, to break the charged atmosphere, poked Julian back in the ribs. Julian caught his hand, a wry smile on his face. He wasn't ticklish. Leo tried again, exploring his neck and under his arms, but Julian remained unaffected. The playful tussle, however, had loosened Julian's silk robe, revealing a broad expanse of honey-toned skin. The mood shifted. Leo snatched his hand back, his face burning. Julian moved in, his kisses starting gently and growing in passion. He decided it was time to teach his innocent lover something new. He whispered against his lips, asking him to open his mouth. Leo stiffened, wary. With the patient tone of an educator delivering a science lecture, Julian explained that a true kiss involved the meeting of tongues. He made it sound as if they'd been shortchanged until now. He held Leo's face, murmuring sweet nothings until the boy, dazed and pliant, hesitantly offered the tip of his tongue. Julian captured it immediately. After a few minutes that felt like an eternity, Leo pulled away, woojadzoi, hiding his face in a pile of pillows. He told Julian there could be no more kissing. He fumbled in his pocket and produced half a stick of intensely strong mints, the packaging boasting of its brain-freezing power. He complained that, because of all the kissing last night, he'd been exhausted at school and had to eat the mints to stay awake. They were hotter than wasabi, he grumbled. He warned Julian that if he kept kissing him so forcefully, he would. Julian nearly laughed out loud. Was this a threat of a suicide mission? Leo's tough exterior was melting away, revealing a boy who was not just soft and obedient, but also lively and playful. If it weren't for the sake of Leo's studies, he would have pushed him even further. Instead, he smiled like a gentleman, confiscated the mints, and tucked Leo into bed, wishing him a good night. And this time he kept his word. The calming scent of his agave pheromones filled the room, and soon Leo, exhausted and soothed, fell into a deep sleep. The final exams for the second semester of junior year were scheduled for early July. After that, the soon-to-be seniors would have a precious 20-day summer break. Leo had moved into Julian's room permanently. Julian, for his part, managed to keep his impulses in check, ensuring their new relationship didn't interfere with Leo's studies. Leo's exam results were astounding. He had jumped over 100 places in the school rankings. At a competitive prep school like his, it was a monumental achievement. At the final assembly, his homeroom teacher praised him publicly and awarded him a Most Improved Student certificate. That afternoon, Leo presented the report card and certificate to Julian, reciting the teacher's praise word for word, his eyes shining with pride. Julian listened, then went over each exam paper, pointing out specific areas of excellence with the precision of a CEO reviewing a quarterly report. He commended a particularly elegant solution on the math test, a method he had only shown Leo once. Leo was squirming under the intensity of the praise. He protested that Julian was exaggerating, that if he were truly that good, he could get into an Ivy League school next year. Julian looked at him, raising an eyebrow as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. He told Leo that with his aptitude, of course he could aim for a top university. His foundations were weak, but he was catching up quickly. With the summer break starting, Julian asked Leo if he had any thoughts about majors or colleges. He wouldn't restrict him, only guide him. Anything but formula racing. Leo hesitated, then quietly said he was interested in pharmacology. His mother's clinical trial in San Francisco was showing positive results. He explained that his mother was fortunate to have Julian's resources, but many people didn't. The imported drugs they used to buy were prohibitively expensive. He wanted to learn how to make pharmaceuticals to help people like his former self to create good, affordable medicine. He acknowledged it was a naive ambition, but it was a direction, a goal. Julian looked at him, his heart swelling with a love so vast he didn't know how to contain it. He told him it wasn't naive at all. He stood up, a sudden, inexplicable urge overwhelming him. Leo was still musing aloud, wondering if the salary for a pharmacologist was high. He had a family to think about now. He wanted to earn a lot of money to spend on Julian and his mom. Julian pulled him into a fierce embrace, sweeping the papers and the certificate off the desk and pressing him down onto its surface. He whispered against his ear, promising to invest in him, to fund his projects, whatever he needed. Leo, stunned by the sudden shift from a serious discussion to this, could only manage a flustered okay as Julian's lips found his. The rumor of Leo's poor academic standing had been a favorite piece of gossip among the extended branches of Julian's prestigious family. So, when Julian's mother, Elena, heard about his spectacular improvement, she was ecstatic. She used her husband's birthday in July as an excuse to host a family dinner, the main purpose of which was to celebrate Leo. At the table, Elena affectionately refuted Leo's downplaying of his achievements. She was confident he could break into the top 50, even top 30 in his senior year. Leo, flustered and honored by her faith in him, rashly promised he would do it. During a toast to his academic success, Leo, not wanting to seem disrespectful by using soda, accepted a small glass of what he thought was wine. The liquor was smooth but potent. He downed it in one go and immediately knew he'd made a mistake. A look from Julian confirmed it. The alcohol went straight to his head. By the time Elena presented him with the family heirloom, a vintage Patek Philippe watch that had belonged to Julian's grandfather, passed down to the head of the family's spouse, Leo was pleasantly drunk. The watch was fastened around his left wrist. After the dinner, Julian led him through the garden to walk off the alcohol before they retired to their guest room. In the quiet of the night, Leo, emboldened by the drink, wandered among the flower beds. Julian followed, amused. He pointed to a rare, exquisite rose blooming high on a trellis wall, its petals shifting from golden red to creamy white. Leo looked up, his eyes wide with wonder. "Is it beautiful?" Julian asked. "It is," Leo replied. "Do you like it?" "I do," Julian said, his eyes on Leo's face, not the flower. In a flash of inspiration, Leo sprinted towards the wall, scrambled up the trellis with surprising agility, plucked the rose, and landed gracefully on the ground. The priceless watch was still on his wrist. He held out the rose to Julian, a proud, shy offering from a boy to his beloved. Julian's heart skipped a beat. He reached out, his hand closing not over the rose, but over Leo's hand. He squeezed it gently, his thumb caressing the fine bones of his wrist, where the watch gleamed against his pale skin. "Spouse." The word echoed in his mind, hot and possessive. He led Leo back to their room, and what followed was a long, heated session of kisses and caresses that left Leo boneless and pliant. But Julian stopped himself before things went too far. He gently placed a hand on Leo's lower abdomen and asked softly if he was fully developed yet. Leo, in his drunken haze, didn't understand. Julian was referring to the internal changes of a secondary omega transformation, something he couldn't see but needed to be sure of before attempting a permanent bond. He wouldn't risk hurting him, especially not while he was intoxicated. He helped the sleepy boy drink a glass of water, change, and get into bed. At 3 a.m, Leo woke from a vivid, sensual dream about Julian. His neck was hot, and the sweet, cloying scent of vanilla filled the room. His heart was hammering. He was sober now, and a dawning horror washed over him. He was a guest in Julian's parents' house. He had made a mess. He slipped out of bed. The sheets were damp. Mortified, he tried to stealthily pull the fitted sheet off the mattress without waking Julian. But it was too late. Julian's eyes opened, clear and alert. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" The vanilla scent was too strong to ignore. Leo stammered that nothing was wrong, he was just going to the bathroom. Julian switched on a lamp and arched an eyebrow. "Smells sweet. Did you spill some juice?" Leo seized the excuse, nodding dumbly. Julian played along, gently chiding him for getting it all over his pajamas, asking if he was hungry in the middle of the night. Leo, trapped, agreed to everything, spinning a more and more ridiculous tale about late-night strawberry juice cravings. Julian let him squirm for a while before taking pity on him. He got fresh linens from the closet and sent Leo to the bathroom. When he returned, Julian cornered him and explained, in simple, direct terms, what had happened. It was a sign that he was nearly fully grown. Leo, red-faced and humiliated, begged him to stop. To make him stop, he found himself agreeing to Julian's proposal for a proper education on these matters, a series of lessons to be held over the summer break. The next few days were spent at the family estate. Leo discovered a love for shooting, spending hours at the private range. But soon it was time to return home. On the drive back, he wistfully mentioned wanting to go to the shooting range again. Julian agreed, but only on the condition that he accompany him every time. Leo noticed a pattern. Julian had been subtly discouraging his interest in motorcycle racing as well, and had orchestrated the drinking incident at the dinner to teach him a lesson about his new, lower tolerance for alcohol. He wondered, for the first time, if the supremely confident Julian might actually be a little insecure. The first Omega wellness class was scheduled. Leo showed up 5 minutes late, hoping to avoid it. On the desk in the study sat his middle school health textbook. The chair he normally used was gone. "We need to share the book," Julian said with an apologetic smile. "It's not convenient to sit face to face. Just for this, sit on my lap?" Leo was horrified. He turned to go find another chair, but Julian swiftly intercepted him, lifting him into his arms and carrying him to the desk. The lesson commenced with Julian sitting behind him in the single chair, his voice a low murmur in Leo's ear as he read from the textbook, his breath ghosting over Leo's skin. He explained the biology of marking, his tone academic, the situation anything but. The lesson lasted well over an hour. When it was finally over, Leo fled the room. The sessions became a regular, mortifying occurrence. Julian, the head of a major corporation, would spend his evenings playfully hunting a hiding Leo through the mansion, his superior alpha senses making escape impossible. His own impending rut was making him more demanding, and he soothed himself by teasing his Omega. He had also taken Leo for a full medical checkup, which confirmed that his body was ready for a permanent bond. The doctor's report, with its clinically detailed descriptions of his internal development, made Leo want to disappear. In the hospital corridor, Julian gently broached the subject of the lifelong mark. His rut was only a day or two away. He framed it as a what-if, asking Leo if he would be angry if he lost control and marked him. Leo, his lips dry, mumbled that Julian had no intention of holding back in the first place. Julian sighed, affecting a wounded tone. "Sweetheart, how can you think that of me?" Leo fought the urge to give in. Julian rephrased, "So you can't accept it, is that right?" A war raged within Leo. Finally, he shook his head. "That's not right. So it's not that you can't accept it," Julian concluded with a triumphant smile. "A double negative implies a positive." Leo's face exploded in color. He snatched the medical reports and fled down the hallway, unable to spend another second in Julian's presence. That night, Julian woke from a nightmare, his heart pounding, sweat beading on his forehead. It was the dream again, the one of the temple of the life without Leo. His rut had begun. The hormonal surge amplified his deepest anxieties. He tightened his hold on the warm, sleeping boy beside him, the scent of agave pouring from him, a desperate, possessive claim. The pressure and the zurtong in his skin woke Leo. He asked what was wrong. Julian didn't answer, just buried his face in Leo's neck, inhaling his vanilla scent like a drowning man breathing air. Leo felt something wet on his skin. Tears. He sat up, alarmed, and wrapped his arms around Julian, asking him to talk to him, his usual stutter gone in his urgency. Julian admitted it was a matter of the heart. A long silence followed. Then, slowly, Leo withdrew his arms and slid down under the covers, turning away.